Right, so hey everyone and welcome back to another budget photography video. In this video I want to talk about this, the Canon EF 50mm 1.8. And is it any good in 2020? Well, the short answer is yes. It is very cheap, very affordable, very small, and a real beauty all in all. So yes, you should buy it if you don't already have one. So let's get into some of the information about it. The lens itself, as I said, is a 1.8 50mm prime, which means it cannot zoom. It only has a focus motor. And the focus motor that it uses is an STM focusing motor, which in quiet situations is really nice, because especially at somewhere like a wedding or an event where that you can't really make much noise and you need to focus and get that precise pin sharp image, especially in low light, really helps. It does have a metal mount, EF mount. As I said, it's an EF lens, which means that it will fit onto Canon's full frame cameras, which is what it is really designed for. It will fit on a crop censored EFS body. With a crop factor of 1.6, it roughly works out to an 85mm prime, which is still pretty good for that. It's still, yeah. I used to use this on my old 500D, and even at 85mm, it was still pretty good. So there are some good things about it, and there are some bad things. Let's start with some of the bad things about it. Now, because this is a 1.8, the focus plane is very small, and if you miss it, that whole image is just going to be horrible and out of focus. But on the good side, when you do get stuff in focus, when you do get a model in focus or a product in focus, it is a pin sharp, and the out of focus areas around the subject that you're photographing are beautiful. It has 7 aperture blades, so the bokeh in the background is going to be perfectly round and perfectly just sexy bokeh, to be fair. The one thing that I do actually have a problem with this lens is, now this, as I said many times, this is a beautiful lens, and I use this actually for my YouTube camera. This I use for my YouTube. I don't normally use this one anymore. This is the Lumix, and that's my 5D. I now use my 5D because the 5D can fit a microphone, whereas this one can't. I'm having to use the internal mic, and I don't like it. But yeah, so I use this 50mm for YouTube. I film videos with it. Now, majority of the time it is locked off on a tripod, but it's not stabilized. It's not a stabilized lens, and as well known by practically every photographer, Canons never feature IBIS, which is in-body stabilization. So handheld shots in video modes are going to be bleh, just bleh. They're just horrible. So Canon, if you're listening, please, in the next one, please release a stabilized lens, because this would be so good for handheld video. The only way that you can use this for video is if you either lock it off on a tripod like I am right now, or if you have a gimbal or a Steadicam or a glide cam, which are basically the same thing. So this 50mm is, as I said, the 1.8. It is roughly £125 brand new. It was released back in 2015, and it's the Mark II. I don't know when the Mark I was released, but this was the updated version with a newer focus motor and a new focus ring. Originally, the original 50mm 1.8 had the focus ring around here, and it's now been moved back a few millimeters to here. Now, having this focus ring here is quite nice. It's nice and compact, and it's easy to use when you're shooting. Now, I like to mount my lenses sometimes on my Lumix, purely because, for example, I've got something like this, the 75-300 telephoto. On a full frame, it is exactly that, a 75-300mm lens. But on this, which is a micro four thirds, this turns into basically a super tele lens. This goes from a 300mm all the way up to a 600mm, because obviously it's a micro four thirds, so you times it by 2. And because this camera does have IBIS in body stabilization, it means that I can handhold video shots, and I can compensate in camera for the shake if there is any, which there rarely ever is. But this one, because of that STM motor, can't be done, unfortunately, unless you have it on a Canon. The focus motor won't talk to the camera, and the camera won't talk to the lens. My cat's just jumped onto my sofa. Hello, girl. So yeah, they won't talk to each other, so the focus motor won't really work at all. Sorry. So yeah, sorry, the focus motor won't work at all, so that is a bit of a pain, because this would go from a 50mm 1.8 to a 100mm. I'm not really sure of the aperture because I'm rubbish with maths. So this would go to a 100mm lens on this body. And again, because of that lower aperture, even though it would be times by 2, it would still look really, really nice and really, really sharp, because you have Canon's optics. And it's well known that Canon glass is some of, if not the best glass, bar probably like a few. So yeah, as I said, this is a really, really cheap lens. You can pick this up for about 100 to 125 pounds, brand new. I picked mine up second hand, and I think I paid about 70 pounds for it in the box. I had the box as well, which was really, really nice. So yeah, you can't really go wrong, and you should always have a prime lens. I love using this prime. Anyway guys, thanks for joining me in this video. I hope to see you in the next one.